Teachers, I'm going to say this plainly. You are putting yourself last. You put students first. You put parents first. You put all your teacher friends first. And you put your family first. And by the time the day is over, you are running on whatever is left over. Now, you didn't decide that on purpose, but it's just happening. You're listening to Teaching Without Losing Yourself, the podcast. This is After the Bells, Beyond the Box, a moment made just for teachers, even on the move. I'm Kim, and after years in education leadership, I've learned this. Teachers don't usually break down overnight. They just slowly move themselves lower and lower in the order of importance. And after enough time, that affects how they feel, how they show up, and how long they can keep doing this. Well, this podcast exists to help you notice that without judgment and without feeling like you have to change everything at once. Inside After the Bells this month, our theme is Melt into the Moment. We've talked about being on high alert. We've talked about your mind staying busy even when your body slows down. We talked about rest feeling like work. This week is what sits underneath all of it. When you are consistently last, your system never really refills. And guys, that catches up with you. Putting yourself last rarely feels obvious. You don't really notice that you're doing it, right? It feels like you're being responsible. And that's what teachers like. Teachers like to feel, responsible. You do things like answering the email. You stay a little longer at work, guys. You take on the extra task because it just feels so much easier than saying no, right? You want your teachers and your team to be supported. You want your students to be supported. You want your parents, all of them, to feel like they're being heard. And you want your team of teachers to function well. So, you know what you do? You step in. At home, it continues. You manage the schedule for the house. You solve all the problems that come up. You, teacher, mommy teacher, you make sure everyone else is okay. And after enough days like that, you stop asking yourself simple questions like, how am I doing today? What do I need right now? Am I exhausted? Not because you don't have needs, but because everything else feels more urgent than those needs. And guys, urgency wins most of the time. Over time, being last becomes normal. You don't even notice it anymore. And here's what matters. Being last long enough changes you. So, teachers, what you do is you'll still function now. You're going to show up professionally. People are going to know you. You're responsible, remember? You do that job oh so well. But, guys, your patience shortens. Small things irritate you more quickly. You feel less flexible than you used to. You notice yourself snapping faster. Your energy even feels different. You wake up tired. You push through the afternoon. I know you can see this. You collapse at night. Raise your hand if you collapse at night. And in case you don't know, my hand is up too. And the parts of teaching that once felt light to you guys, they just start feeling heavy. And it's not because you stop caring, teachers, but because you are depleted. When you are consistently last, you are operating on leftovers. And leftovers, teachers, they're not going to sustain you. You cannot keep working on leftovers only. This is usually where teachers start doing something like criticizing themselves. Like, why am I so irritable? Why don't I feel like myself anymore? Why am I so tired all of the time? But this isn't a character issue. This, teachers, is what happens when maintenance doesn't happen. If you are always last, your system is always running on what remains, and you can't run on leftovers. Teachers deserve better than leftovers, right? Let's talk about what this actually means. And I mentioned refilling earlier in this podcast. You hear it all the time, the filling of the cup, right? And I want you to know that refilling yourself, maintenance for yourself, that's not selfish. Okay? It's not selfish to refill your own cup. This is what you need to do to maintain. You plan lessons so your classrooms run smoothly, right? And then you prepare, you get ready, because that's what responsible teachers do. You prepare so that that day it doesn't fall apart. I mean, you know when things are going to happen. And then you review your students so that you can be sure they understand and they understand what's next. You see, this is maintenance. Maintenance keeps the work sustainable. But teachers often treat their own maintenance, the maintenance of self, like it's not mandatory, like it's an option. It's not optional to take care of yourself. It's not extra. This is not something you as a teacher have to earn. You don't have to be falling apart to deserve care. And you don't have to be completely exhausted to justify the rest. Maintenance is steady, it's small, it's consistent. And teachers deserve maintenance and sustainability, not barely making it, not dragging themselves to the end of the year. And you know what I'm talking about. I do know it's February. March is around the corner. Sustainable. Putting yourself somewhere in the order other than last, not last. Putting yourself, teacher, in somewhere else in that order is responsible, not indulgent. It's responsible to put yourself somewhere else other than last. Let's pause for just a second. I want you to think about your last full day at school. I'm not certain when you'll be listening to this. Maybe that was today, maybe that was yesterday, maybe that was a few days ago. But think about your last full day at school, right? Where were you in the order of all the things that happened throughout that day? Were you at the top, the middle somewhere? You put yourself kind of in the middle? You put your needs kind of in the middle? Or were you somewhere at the bottom? Where did you rank yourself throughout that day overall and all the things that happened? Were you at the top? Were you in the middle? Or were you dead last? Because you kind of think that's being responsible. It's not responsible to take care of everyone else's needs and ignore your own. Teachers deserve better than being last. Teacher, you deserve better than being last. And I'm not saying to neglect all the things you do. and put those things to the side and not take care of those. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you deserve to fill your cup and you deserve to make sure that you're not dead last in that. This is not something you got to fix right now, guys. It's just something I want you to notice. This week, what I want you to do is intentional. And everything that we talk about has to be with intentionality, which means you have to purposely do this. Even if you have to get one of your really pretty sticky notes out and write this word on it and put it in multiple places. I want you to intentionally write that word, intention. Intentionally move yourself up one space. Think about what you're doing, all the things you're doing throughout the day. Sometime this week, something's going to come. Something's going to come across your desk. Something's going to come across your path. And I want you to slow down for just a second. And I want you to move yourself up a step, which means I want you to fill your cup, which means I want you to do something for you that's not for someone else. And I don't want you to feel guilty about it. It doesn't mean you have to be the very top because I know those things are important. I know the long list. Guys, I got one myself. So it doesn't have to necessarily be the top. You don't have to put yourself first, even though first sometimes is not a bad thing. You don't have to put yourself first. But guys, just don't put yourself last. Do one small thing that belongs to you. And I want you to do it not because you earned it. I earned this for myself. You don't have to earn this. You don't have to earn not to be last. I don't want you to do it because not because you're exhausted enough, like I'm just so exhausted. Now I'm going to do something for myself. I don't want that to be the reason. I want it to be the reason because your care, your maintenance, your refill matters. You matter. And yes, you deserve to be more than last. And when teachers stay somewhere in that order, when you put yourself somewhere in that order, other than last, this work you're doing, this becomes sustainable. And we need you to do the work and for it to be sustainable for you. As always, teachers, we're going to do this slowly, slowly together, right? One layer at a time. So until next time, I want you to give yourself the same care you give everyone else.